You're listening to Blue Collar CEO, the podcast that's all about helping you build a better, more profitable, and more sustainable home service business. Each week, we'll cover a different topic that will help enable your company to move forward to success. And here's your host, Ryan Redding.
What is up, Blue Collar CEOs? It's Ryan. It is awesome being with you today. For those of you who have listened to the show for a while, I just want to take a second. Thank you. Week after week after week, we try to keep good guests, good content coming at you, and you keep coming back to include us into your drive time, into your morning workouts. I'm humbled to hear the stories of how you pull in Blue Collar CEO into your daily grind. So thank you so much. I'm getting ready to introduce you to Rodney Koop. Rodney is the CEO and founder of The New Flat Rate, motivational speaker. You're going to hear this passion in this guy's voice. Author, entrepreneur. He's a solutions-based enthusiast. Guy's a master electrician. He holds 12 unrestricted electrical license. And over the past 30 years, he's founded and sold HVAC, electrical, and several plumbing service companies. All in, he's been in the industry for more than 40 years. So he brings a lot of knowledge, but also has a really big understanding on how consumers buy and purchase things. We're going to be talking about a lot of things, but one of the things he jumped out to me on early on was how consumers make decisions in 15-second bursts. I want you to stay tuned for this. Let's get going. Rodney, I appreciate you taking the time to stop by because you, sir, are just everywhere all the time. I know you're crazy busy. But I guess maybe let's just start before we hop on in. For those who maybe don't yet know who you are, let's just start there. Who are you, Rodney? What do you do?
Well, I'm the guy that when I was 15 years old, my dad said, get your butt out of bed and get on the truck. Just like a lot of people listening to this podcast, we got into this because our dads made us work. So I started out as an electrician, working in that field for many years, eventually started my own electrical business, then bought a heating and air company. So I've been in and out of the contracting business pretty much my whole life. And the thing that got me to where I am right now was all the frustrations with hiring service technicians. But what changed in our industry when we came along with flat rate pricing, we put the tool in the hands and then we wanted them to collect the money up front. Or what I should say, we wanted them to do COD work, bring the money back. Flat rate pricing should have just been named upfront pricing or no surprises. It was created for one reason, the main reason, so we could get paid without people calling and arguing when they get the bill. Just pay it. I'd rather have them pay when we do the work, even if we only charge half as much, than to have to fight for it. But when that happened, we took service people whose core value was that they like to work. They like to fix things. They like to repair. They like to use their expertise. And they wanted to serve the customer, to be the customer's friend. What we did is we gave them a price book. Then they had to show that to the customer. Then the customer would argue with them about the price. And they didn't sign up to argue about our prices with the customer. So that's what really messed up our industry. Service technicians got mad, quit, started their own business. We started doing sales and communication training and trying to get them to help us make money. It all kind of fell apart and went downhill. And that's what brought me to where I am. We created a system where the service technicians just show a menu and the customers buy more than you could ever sell them. And everybody's happy.
And everyone's happy. And customers are so used to like ordering from menus. Like there's whole, unless somebody has a reason to have experience in like food and beverage, like there's entire companies who support engineering menu design to help restaurants maximize the profit on even like food items. Like there's totally a science. It's something consumers are gravitated to. How is it? So I guess I'm curious and maybe this is a little bit of a tangent, but I guess bear with me. How is it that you went from, okay, you're an electrician, you hold these licenses, like you've been into HVAC and electrical and plumbing companies. How is it that you came out with doing the new flat rate? Like What's the origin of that to get you to where you are now?
It was because of my struggle to make payroll, my struggle to get enough money to run the business. I was a service technician turned businessman. The best, if you were a businessman, if you went to college for business, if you had a natural bent for, you would do well. But if you're a service technician and you've never really managed your own money well, right? Then you start a business and you think because you're so smart, so talented, so skilled with tools, you just think that you can run a business. And it's not that way. Over 90% of all in-home service contractors, skilled labor, heating, air, electric, most of them are just like me. They were service technicians. They were never businessmen, and they're lousy at it. So was I. I kept trying to hire smarter people. I actually hired used car salesmen. I hired copy machine salesmen, give them a flat rate book. What did I need? I needed enough money to cover my overhead, my payroll, and all of that from each person doing a few service calls a day. It was a struggle. Of course, now I've worked with thousands of contractors. I've met face to face with thousands of contractors and sat down for an hour with them and talked about these things. Almost all of them struggle like me. There's a few, and I could even name some of them that they were just good businessmen to begin with. They built a service company fast and strong and profitable. But a lot of us couldn't do that. So I hired every business consultant, every trainer. I joined best practice groups. I could name them. I've joined almost every one. And I was a small guy, one or two technicians, a couple of installers. Yet over the 10-year period, I spent $350,000 on best practice groups, sales trainers, consultants, running all over the country, trying to find, because what do they say? What do they say, Ryan? Here's 3 secrets to running a successful business. Here's 7 secrets. I mean, my gosh, these secrets have been hidden for generations every day, because just a couple of days ago, I saw a brand new 3 never before revealed secrets. Well, why do they keep hiding all this stuff for us? So I paid money for all the secrets, right? They didn't solve my problem, because my problem was I'm not a businessman. That was the main problem. So anyway, so what happened with me is I have 9 kids, okay? All of my kids had to work in the family business, period. I had to as a kid. All of mine did. 5 of them still work in family businesses. And so 2 of my sons, I sent them to all the sales training classes that I went to all of these great classes. Well, my one son learned a combination of information from a lot of different places. I got busy doing indoor air quality work. That's the only thing that kept me afloat. My average ticket on indoor air quality for 12 years was $35,000. All the money I wasn't making in my HVAC business, I was paying the bill, because about once a month I would sell one of these nice jobs that was like 60% gross profit, or I should say net, because $5,000 or $10,000 to do the work, and the rest was just absolute profit. That's how I got by. So my son was basically doing all the service calls. I was doing this, and I wasn't paying attention to him until I noticed that his average tickets in HVAC for service and repair were over $1,200. At that time in the industry, the average repair nationwide was $230. He was beating that by $1,000. So one day I went and I pulled 6 months of his service tickets. And by the way, he wouldn't work after 5 o'clock. He wouldn't work on weekends. So I was desperate to find another technician, but every time I'd hire somebody, sales would go down. Nobody could do $1,200 average tickets. So I pulled 6 months of his tickets, And I sat down. I spent a whole day studying them. Every one had a yellow legal paper stapled to it where he had handwritten 4 to 6 options. I started studying everything he did, and I got excited because I saw patterns, trends, and formulas. I opened an Excel spreadsheet and I started building a book. I said, holy cow, if I create a book of presentations, I can hire one more service tech and now he can be profitable. That's the new flat rate, which is now used well over 30,000 times a week. We're in all 50 states plus Canada. It started because I just wanted to hire one guy. That's where it all started.
So I think it's interesting, which is a fascinating story, and kudos on like navigating all that, because it's really impressive. What is I'm always fascinated by like the psychology of choice and customer behavior. So I remember reading it was a college textbook years ago about like some jelly company or grocery store company or something. They did some sort of research where they put out like in this display in the lobby of the grocery store, and I'm gonna botch the details because I've slept once or twice since then. Where it's like I think they set up the display with like 17 types of jelly and jams. They want to see which one would customers like the most. And turns out like customers didn't buy any of them. Like there were so many options, so many choices that customers kind of shut down and kept moving. And then they kind of whittled it down to 3. And it was like grape, strawberry, and whatever. And all of a sudden, they could not keep those tables stocked. Like customers just kept coming and taking all the jam and the jelly. There's some sort of psychology about having just this right Goldilocks sort of balance for customers so that they don't get overloaded. They feel like they have control, but they feel like they can navigate these things. Oh, how is it that you've settled on kind of the quantity of items that you put on your menu? Like what sort of price or research and science and like kind of goes into that framework, if you don't mind sharing?
I don't. And here this is going to sound, and most of my research is opposite of everything anybody's ever discovered. For example, what you say worked for that study with those jams and jellies, right? I mean, Martha Stewart tried to sell pies in a grocery store or in a grocery store for like $2 a piece. Couldn't sell them. She marked them up to $7 and couldn't keep them on the shelf. So there's a lot of different studies that worked at different times, but not all the time. A lot of people think, well, it should be good, better, best, only 3. Oh, I've had people practically fight me over that. Some people say, well, it should 6 options. That way there's 2 in the middle. Let me tell you something. You go into Home Depot and you look at the kitchen faucets and there's 139 faucets on that wall. Now, how does that fit any other study? It doesn't. But my research all started about 15 years ago when my son said to me, people buy in 15-second bursts. I said, you're crazy. He said, no. He said, you just watch people. That started years of research. Every time I go into Lowe's, Home Depot, or any place, I watch myself. I've spent hundreds of hours in Lowe's and Home Depot watching other people buy. I've videotaped people in Home Depot, Lowe's, McDonald's, you name it. 15 seconds is a long time, actually.
Okay, so when you say 15-second burst, like walk me through like what do you see? What happens in the 15-second burst, as you call it?
Okay, whatever it is. Let's just say that you want a screwdriver. You go down the aisle at Home Depot or Lowe's, and there's probably 5-10 choices, all the way from a multiple package of screwdrivers. It could be Klein screwdrivers, Southwire. It could be Cobalt at Lowe's or Stanley. Okay, somebody like me, I'm an electrician. If it ain't Klein, it ain't mine. So
Sure.
I go there, I'm looking at the Kleins. There's 2 or 3. I can buy a multi or a Phillips or whatever. Here's if you watch people, you'll see it like this. The head goes up, it goes down, it goes right, it goes left. They reach and touch, put something in their bag. at the kitchen faucets, 130, but you watch, you just go watch them. They walk up, they know about what type of faucet they want, right? Like if it's, maybe they want, the spout with the pull-out sprayer. Anyway, you just watch them. They'll go down, they'll go to an area that has mostly the type of faucets they like. Their head goes up, down, left, right. They reach and touch a couple, bam, put one into their basket. But most of the time, if you're timing people, it's going to be under 15 seconds. Our app is used now, like I said, well over 30,000 times a week. I can tell you for a fact, 9 out of 10 people, when you show every page, by the way, is 5 options. And I'll tell you the psychology of that in just a second. But here's what happens, Mr. Customer. I'm a little concerned. I found a fault in the maybe in the refrigerant circulating system, but I have some options. Now, they read the top option. They say, what should we do? There's 5 options on the page. 35,000 times a week. 9 out of 10 people will choose one of those in less than 10 seconds. 9 out of 10. The one that doesn't is a, what would you call, like an engineer, an analytical thinker or something?
Yeah, probably.
They need more information, and they don't always like what they see on the page. So they'll start to question. Well, I don't want anybody to argue with them. So we just have the technician scroll over to the service technician page for that menu. And it just explains everything they're going to do in very minute detail. That person will read that. They might take 2 or 5 minutes, and then they'll be very decisive. But 9 out of 10, it's almost immediate. And we see it all the time. And I watched it over and over. Oh, but I'll tell you the science.
What's the science about this? Because it sounds really interesting.
The reason there's 5 on a page, every page, whether it's a capacitor, a water heater repair, a new water heater, whether it's a new heat pump, a new gas pump, I don't care what it is. There's 5 on a page. And I'll tell you why, and it'll blow you away. It's because 5 fits on a page.
Oh, you tricked me. So it's so great, but there is though a certain point of going like, what does fast food restaurants call it? Like these decoy options, right? These options that are put on the menu with the intention of being discarded. Like, that that's the reason that they're there. No one's going to go just buy a Big Mac. No one buys a Big Mac. Why would you buy a Big Mac when you could buy a Big Mac and a fry and a drink for like a nickel more or whatever it is? Right? Like the Big Mac alone is a decoy. And so having 5, yes, it fits. I can see that. It totally reminds of, like, was it the Henry Ford or Rockefeller years, right? It was just like, oh, that's just kind of how the cards fell. So it sounds like I could see people saying, especially if they've never used the new flat rate, or maybe they have some sort of pricing built in, or maybe how about this? They're still on T&M and they're struggling to kind of adopt to the change. They might just think, well, I can't charge that much. People just want to pay the least amount of dollars possible. So they're just going to go to the lowest dollar sign possible. Do you find that customers, like in this sort of like up, down, left, right, 15-second decision making burst, that price is their primary driver?
See, that's a great question. Here's what we did. Every menu page on the right side in big, bold numbers, we put the price. So it might say $1,245, $816, $620, $429, $295. When we watch people make a decision, okay, whatever it is, say they got their air conditioning's not working, their furnace isn't working. You show them the page. Just so you know, I've got some options. My top option is the most premium. It's also the most permanent and has a better warranty. And that's a complete, and you just explain it. Then you say, but if we did all that, it'd be $1,295. Take a look. There's other options. Their eyes, Ryan, their eyes are only looking at the numbers. And in less than 10 seconds, they choose one and they've almost never read it. They choose it off the numbers. And do you know why? Because they want it fixed. They're inconvenient. And by the way, the number one driver of moving them up higher on the list to more expensive items is not sales training. It's not even fancy cologne on the service technician. The number one driver is inconvenience. So they had to take off work to meet you there. The furnace isn't working. The wife had to take the kids to school, or whoever is there is inconvenienced, Ryan. They're out of their comfort zone. They're hoping you'll show up. Then they're hoping you can fix it, and they're hoping they can afford it. Okay? Now they see $1,295, $960. They see them. They go, and remember, I only told them about the top item, how it was the most premium, the most permanent, where I could take my time and do a great job. So they like that. Now they look at the numbers and they buy as much as they can afford because they don't have time for another breakdown. They got to take the kids to soccer. They got to take them to daycare. You see what I mean?
Yeah, it totally does. And especially when it's also interesting. So I remember when I was working at NBA, there's a field of study in behavioral economics to talk about biases and heuristics, which is basically like these shortcuts in the way people think, that they think they're making efficient decisions, but usually it involves them making some sort of like error in the way. But you're kind of stacking a few of them together. Like one of them is this idea called anchoring. Anchoring, any salesperson who knows anything about sales knows that this thing works. It's where you like, here's your top thing, here's your top price, whatever it is. Normally this is $99.95. But today only it's 3 payments of $29.95. And anchoring is like our brain's ability to compare those two numbers and be like, that's a heck of a deal. Even if those numbers are unrelated to anything. Right. There's another bias in place that's coming there, which is like recency. When you are pulling into, which is what you said, the primary driver being like inconvenience. If you're painting the picture as like, hey, this is the permanent solution. You're anchoring the price high. Awesome. We could totally go down the list, but this inconvenience, which by the way is super recent. Remember, you're taking off work. You're pissed off. You're annoyed. Everyone's mad at you in your life right now. I'm going to be out here in 6 weeks doing the same thing again. So that recency also influences them from moving up from the bottom, right? So you kind of have this really nice sort of hybrid where you're leveraging shortcuts that people naturally make in a decision-making process to solve the problem in a way that's beneficial for the customer and the contractor. Am I right?
See, and you're probably showing, you probably even understand better than I do, the psychology behind why the heck do they make a decision so fast with so little information. And let's say that they choose the middle. Like I said, less than 10 seconds, here's what they say. Tell me about that silver option. Now, here's all I say. Gee, that's a good choice. What do you like about it? They almost always say the same thing, Ryan. I don't know. I guess because it's in the middle. Now, I don't care what they take. I don't want them to take the top. I don't care. I want them to take the one that they want because then they'll be happy. There's no buyer's remorse. It's my technician is the hero, and they're going to love us. They're going to recommend us.
So it's so interesting hearing you talk about this, about the psychology of it. And I know that for companies who do flat rate, and then there's obviously like variations of the math of flat rate, like going into like a margin pricing, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
There's other ways to kind of navigate and solve these problems. What do you like about the new flat rate as far as how it helps contractors? Like, is there anything to you that sets it apart that's more unique, more distinctive, that no other sort of comparable product or solution can offer?
See, I can't help it. I open my mouth and I offend people. Unfortunately, people are going to be offended about what I just say. Flat rate pricing is obsolete. It became obsolete in the year 2000 when people could go online and compare prices. Here's what happens with flat rate. The service technician shows them the price. Mr. Customer, here it is in the book. It's a 25 microfarad capacitor, and it's $195. The customer today can type on his phone faster than you can talk. And he says, well, here it is on Amazon for $12. Now, flat rate pricing. We only have flat rate in our name, so people will check us out. We're not flat rate. We're menu. We're not even close. But flat rate pricing puts the focus on the part. Mr. Customer, the problem is the capacitor. Well, when the focus is on the part, I only need a part, right? And so then you say, here it is, $195. They say, well, it's only $12 on Amazon. So it puts the focus on the part and the blame on the technician.
That's
now the technician has to do whatever. Mr. Customer, we're a great company. Look, we've got a pretty truck. It's all wrapped. My tires are cleaned. Look at me. I'm clean, sharp, articulate, and intelligent. And the customer's like, I don't care. It's a $12 part. Here's the problem. For years back in the day, we would tell our technicians, don't think about a part. Think about a system. The capacitor is part of an entire system that feels the shock of voltage coming and going, coming and going. What's all part of that system? Control wires, high voltage, low voltage, wire nuts, stake-ons, push terminals, wire nuts, coils, relays, contactor boards, the capacitor, of course, every wire, every ground screw, everything feels that surge, but the capacitor is the weak link. So we're going to take care of it, but we're going to check the whole system, Mr. Custom, make sure that everything is clean, tight, retightened, retorqued, rerouted, everything. So you're just not going to have a problem. That you don't need a part, Mr. Customer. You need a professional who has knowledge, wisdom, talent, experience, and craftsmanship, and all of the tools to do the job. So the way that we say that, Mr. Customer, I'm a little concerned. I found a fault in the electrical control system, but don't worry, I have some options. Just so you know, my top option is most premium and the most permanent, and that's where I can take my time, do a great job, and give you a better warranty. That's it, Ryan. That's it. Show them the options. They take an option in less than 10 seconds, and I don't have to defend anything. Guess what? We never talk about parts. I might put 3 parts on there, have to restock 3 parts in my truck, and it was never mentioned. Customer bought those parts. He never knew it because he was buying an expert craftsman's solution.
Yeah, I love that. It's like you're total, and that's really what you're doing, right? Is you're positioning now as the solution to the problem, not the mechanics. Which is that's just good solution building and all. So obviously you are unbelievably passionate and gifted at what you do, and the new flat rate is a fantastic platform. If somebody wanted to learn about the new flat rate to see if this tool made sense for their business, what's the best way for them to learn more?
They can go to menupricing.com. Our phone number's there. They can call and talk to somebody. Or they can even search online and talk to people that are using it. We're over to, everything I say, the problem is it's all too good to be true, but I was a struggling contractor, I would tell my wife, I would say, oh, we're trying to help this contractor, but they seem to be doing good right now. And she'll say, I know, but there's never money at Christmas. That's where I came from, trying to make it to the end of the year. And now I don't even tell, we flood bank accounts with money. It's incredible. But what? Let me tell you one key. You'll get a kick out of this. McDonald's sold a hamburger for 10 cents when they started, right? Now, they could try to get you to buy more hamburgers. They could sell you 3 hamburgers, 2 for $1, or they could sell you hamburgers, fries, and Coke, right? but you're going to understand this. Let's just say the entire McDonald's organization is making $1 million a year from their one hamburger and their fries and Coke, right? And somebody says, I've got an idea. Let's put a slice of cheese on it and sell it for 15 cents. Oh, super. Would you like cheese with that? Would you like fries with that? Then came somebody who thought outside of the box, and they said, let's change the name. Oh, what do you call a hamburger with a slice of cheese? A cheeseburger. Now think, okay? A piece of cheese, now let's go to today's prices. A 99-cent burger, you put a piece of cheese that costs you 5 cents, and that burger had 7 cents profit. You put the cheese on it. Now you change the name to cheeseburger and sell it for $1.99. You just increased your profit from 7 cents on that transaction to 92 cents, if I'm doing the math right. That is billions and billions of dollars for a large retail company. And then they put 2 patties on it and call it a quarter pounder or a Big Mac. I'm going to tell you right now, if nobody gets anything except what I'm saying, add low cost value, okay, or low cost, high value items. A piece of cheese, but now it's a cheeseburger. A double patty, now it's a Big Mac. Now it's a double bacon Godzilla burger. You go from making a living to owning more real estate than anybody else in the world. The fries and the Coke, just for the fun of it, Ryan, I'll tell you because I love to tell it. The fries and the Coke are free. We don't care about it. So here's how it goes. There's 6 people in line. The guy at the front looks up. By the way, there's 5 menus there. There's a burger, salad, chicken, and fish, and something else. Okay. The guy looks up. He makes a decision, right? And then back in the day, they would say, do you want a drink? Yeah, give me a Coke. What size? Oh, medium. Do you want fries? Yeah, what size? Small. There's 6 people in line. You're holding up the cash. So now it's like this. I'll take a number 3. What does it include? Fries and Coke. It's a closing tool. These are grouped 1, 2, 3. Combos are grouped. So you will get your order, get out of the way, and bring the next guy up. It is nothing but a closing tool. We don't care about fries. So there's no money in fries and Coke. It's a little bit, it's just a closing tool. When you really evaluate what's going on in fast food, it will just about blow you away.
I agree with that. So restaurants in general, but especially fast food, McDonald's is a great one because they've learned all sorts of tricks, just like you talked about, to maximize every opportunity, which as a weird sidebar, I always get amazed by the people who are like, oh, here's a $195 part problem, and here's a $12 part I found on Amazon problem. You're like, that's a 100% increase in price. Like, if you did the margins on a cup of Coke at a McDonald's, like it's like 1,200%. But whatever, I digress. But that only matters if you know to do math. Right. Whatever. Rodney, I am really glad that we were able to get you on because I love the passion you bring. I love that the value, like to help contractors with helping them like essentially make more profit, make more sales, help the customer solve their problems. You take the tension out of the equation. I'll definitely make sure that the new flat rate and menu pricing is listed in the show notes for anyone who wants to learn more. But sir, it was awesome having you on. I know you're crazy busy. It was a pleasure meeting you, I guess, face to face. So glad you could come on.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Anytime.
This episode was hosted by Ryan Redding, author of the book on digital marketing for plumbing and HVAC contractors, and founder of Levergy, the digital marketing solution for serious home service companies. You can subscribe to Blue Collar CEO on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Visit us online at BlueCollar.CEO and find us on Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with another awesome episode. See you soon.